So I recently took my old rusty RIDGID jointer and turned it into this beautiful hunk of green machinery. I'm going to show you the whole transformation process, share some important lessons I learned along the way, like be extra careful before using rust remover, what the heck Frankenstein has to do with it all, and another thing is, since finishing, I haven't used it, so I don't even know if it works like it's supposed to, but I will test it before the video is over and see if it was all worth it or just a waste of time. Let's find out. This is a tarp, and under this tarp is where my jointer has been living for the past several years. I didn't want it taking up space in the garage, and I figured since I live in San Diego and it's fairly dry here, it would be fine. But as you may know, cast iron is highly susceptible to rust, and as you can see, it was a pretty bad idea, and tarps suck at doing their job. So I decided to take this old friend out and show it a good time. Now, if you're watching this and you don't know what a jointer is, I suggest you look that up on your own because it's kind of hard to explain, and I would probably bore you if I tried. But for now, let's just say that it makes boards flat so the things you build look nice. And I'd been doing a lot of projects where having a jointer would make life a whole lot easier. I figured all I had to do was brush off some dirt, clean off some surface rust, and I'd be good to go. And besides, well, how long could that take? Now, with all of the potpourri and rat poo removed, it was time to tackle the rust. I'm using Rust Dissolver by Rust-Oleum. You wipe it on, let it sit, wipe it off, wipe it on, let it sit, wipe it off, over and over again until you're left with a nice rust-free and clean surface. Works like a charm. Or does it? We'll find out. Now, the fence, well, wiping it down just wasn't working, so I thought I might as well just take it apart so I can really get in there and clean all the nuts and the bolts. And then I'd be done. So I used more of the magic sauce and brushed it on to remove the rust, but it was stubborn, and so I had to break out the wire brush and put in some good old elbow grease to get everything nice and shiny, because tools don't work if they're not nice and shiny. And then I rinsed everything in some mineral spirits to remove any residue from the rust dissolver, and then sprayed on WD-40 to prevent any more rust from forming. Then I moved on to all the larger parts of the fence assembly, cleaning those up as well. And some of the sides had this rough, almost popcorn-like texture, which I had to scrub pretty aggressively to get clean. And finally, I cleaned the actual fence itself with more rust dissolver and mineral spirits.
Oh yeah.
Now the blades were in really bad shape and definitely needed to be changed, so I took out these wedges which hold them in place so I could clean those before putting in a fresh set. And with these wedges all clean, I could put a fresh set of blades in, but upon further inspection of the cutter head, there was no way I was going to put a fresh set of blades into this gunk, and it didn't even pass the finger test. There was no question about it, the cutter head had to come out. So all I had to do was remove these two bolts that fasten it to the base, and then slide this pulley wheel off, which wasn't coming off because this guard was in the way. So I guess I'm taking that off too. And with the guard out of the way, I slid off the pulley wheel and was finally able to remove the cutter head. Now, did I mention that there is a second pulley wheel? And I mean, you can't take off one without the other. It meant removing the back plate, but that's okay because I like laying on the floor in the garage. Now I can proceed to clean the cutter head, which I didn't do because I decided it would be a good time to vacuum the stand, the base, take the dust chute off, and get rid of all of the wood chips, which there were a lot of. And now I could clean the, nope, not the cutter head, but the stand. I wiped it down, scrubbed it with a Scotch-Brite pad, and got it about as clean as I could. And I also wiped down the motor and got that nice and clean too. And now, without any further escapades or diversions, I present the cleaning of the cutter head. Now, as I cleaned the cutter head, I began to reflect on how much time I'd already put into this project and realized I really needed to wrap things up. I'd finish cleaning this part, reassemble everything, and then call it a day. And so I began wiping down the base and the sides of the tables and taking more things apart. And then the only logical thing to do next was to take the tables completely off so that I could clean the base. But the base was dirtier than I expected, so I took that off too. Using a Scotch-Brite pad, I scrubbed off most of the loose rust and dirt, and then sprayed everything with WD-40 to let it soak in and break up any remaining tough spots. And after a thorough scrubbing, it's not perfect, but I think I got it pretty darn clean. Now with the tables off, I thought it was a good opportunity to flip them over and clean the underside really well. Here I'm scraping off what's probably years of glue and paint that was on the boards that had been run through the jointer. Now hold up. Didn't I already clean the infeed and the outfeed tables? And then why do they look like this? Well, it's probably a good time to tell you about my
Rust Dissolver Disaster.
Okay, so that Rust-Oleum that I thought was working so great, after it dried, it stained the cast iron with a dark and blotchy color with flash rust all over it. And nothing would remove it except more Rust Dissolver. And the problem was, every time it dried, the staining and rust would come right back again. And then I tried this Rust Aid, which turned out to be even worse. I didn't show you this before, but it turned the cutter head, the pulley wheels, and everything it touched green. So I read the back of the bottle and it said to rinse with water. But who wants to put water on their tools? So I very carefully wiped everything down, dried it thoroughly, did a ton of aggressive scrubbing, and ultimately and reluctantly had to break out the orbital sander to fully restore the finish. Which thank God I was able to do, but it wasn't over there. The next morning when I walked into the garage, my table saw was covered with the same staining and flash rust, and I ended up having to completely resand it to get it back to normal. Now you may have noticed that I always poured out the Rust-Oleum, and that's because the spray bottle was broken. So with the Rust Aid I was able to spray, which I did very carefully. But the only explainable theory I can come up with is that that mist got into the air and found its way over to the table saw and stained it. Now, I am no expert or chemist, and I'm sure these products have their place, but I would caution you to be very careful before using them on your tools. And if I had to do it over, I would skip the chemicals altogether and just use WD-40, Scotch-Brite pads, and if necessary, an orbital sander. Now, with the tables and fence and all the small parts so fresh and so clean, I just could not bring myself to put them on this pitiful stand. Not only is it old and beat up, but RIDGID, what were you thinking? Was there ever a time that this paint color was in style? So yes, I am doing what it looks like I'm doing, prepping to paint the stand. I started off with a coat of primer to help the paint stick better, and then for the color I chose this camouflage deep forest green. And hey, if you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing. It would really help the channel, which helps me make more videos. And let me know down in the comments if you like this kind of content. And don't worry, the Halloween builds aren't going anywhere. And with a final clear coat on top, this is the exact look that I was going for. I used this coastal gray to give some nice contrast to the front and back plates, and then I cleaned up the bolts and painted them with this charcoal gray. And no, I am not putting everything back together, but I am taping all of the tables and the fence assembly so that I can paint those too. I used the same coastal gray to give them a nice, fresh coat of paint. And for the handle that adjusts the fence, I chipped off all of the old coating and then painted it with Plastidip. I don't know why I chose that over paint, but I did. Now, I was just going to paint these letters and glue them back on, but I have a laser engraver. What was I thinking? You gotta make them out of wood. And with everything cleaned and repainted, it is time to reassemble. Except for this mobile base, let's quickly clean that and cut some fresh plywood for it. Now that's better. And with the fence installed, I put on a fresh set of blades and then gave everything a fresh coat of wax. And finally, a few small details I added. The depth gauge was shot, so I made this new one with the laser engraver, and while it was at it, I also made this little badge. But there's one more thing I made, which finally brings us to the whole Frankenstein thing. So I thought it would be a fun idea, since I'm a Halloween fanatic, to name all the tools in my shop after classic horror figures. And with all the work I put into this, it definitely needed a name. I started thinking, what could I call it? What does the jointer do? It flattens, Frankenstein, Flattenstein. Boom, there it is. Oh, and it's green, and I brought it back from the dead, so it just worked. And what better place to put the logo than on the cutter guard? But not this cutter guard. Instead, I traced the shape onto a piece of white oak and then jigsawed it out. And then I laser cut this template so I could tape it on and get a nice clean edge with the flush trim bit on the palm router. I removed most of the inside with this Forstner bit on the drill press and then routed out the rest and was left with kind of an interesting looking tray. And finally, I routed the sides to match the profile of the original blade guard. And with that, Flattenstein is complete.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Okay, well, it's finally time to fire it up and see how well it works. I got a 2x4 here that I checked to make sure that it does have some twist and it needs to actually be flattened so we can joint one edge and make one side flat. So let's see how it works. Let's fire up the dust collector now. Okay, that may have worked well, but I don't know if you can see on the video that the bag fell off of my filter canister. I'm really sick of this happening all the time. So that's the next thing I need to tackle is the dust collection system. Let's see if this board is flat. Maybe there's a tiny, tiny bit of play in there. So I'll run it through again and see if it comes out completely flat. Oh yeah. You know what I can feel is that suction when you get something completely flat. Feels like it sucks to the table. And I think that this project was worth it. It was not a nightmare, and it lives up to the name, Flattenstein. Well, I hope you found this video useful or at least entertaining. Maybe you have an old tool lying around that needs some attention, and this gave you an idea or some inspiration. Thanks for watching, and now I've got to finally get back to the project that I started in the first place.